Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's edition of the monthly webinar. My name is Chris Contento, one of the account executives here at Touchplan. Normally, we'd go through, monthly, we go through a live demo. Today is a little special occasion for us. We're going through a project overview with Sundt Construction, a little demo, and how they went from a more manual process to a more digital process. And joining us, we're really appreciative and really happy. Sean Falvey from Sundt Construction. Sean, I'll let you introduce yourself there.
Hi everyone, Sean Falvey with Sundt Construction. As Chris just said, I'm Vice President and Regional Manager for our Northern California Building Group office. Been with Sundt for about 7 years and doing a number of different types of projects from science to education, healthcare, and student housing, which is one of the projects we'll be talking about today. At Sundt, we really have a lot of buy-in to the lean process, and so doing things like weekly work plans, pull planning, all those activities and processes are an everyday occurrence on our projects. So Touchplan is one of those programs that really makes that easier, and so I'll talk about one of our projects and how we leveraged it to really improve and make ourselves more efficient.
Awesome. Well, yeah, again, thanks, Sean. I appreciate you joining me today. Before we get into Sean's actual project and how they were successful on that, I'll just do a quick overview of Touchplan and what we're all about and what we work with on other GCs, as well as a planning tool. But just as a reminder, you can always go to touchplan.io. This demo will be on there shortly. We always have live demos. We have free trials. So if you're sitting here as a super or PM, you want to look at us and test this out, certainly just give us a shout on there, and then a member of our Touchplan team will reach out there. Just to jump right into it, what is Touchplan? Again, you mentioned, Sean mentioned he used this on one of his student housing projects as a planning software. That's exactly what we do. We work with GCs, not only like Sundt, trades, owners, really just to run a more efficient and profitable job at the end of the day. You'll see today how we help reduce missed handoffs, rework, and cutting down on those delays that might make a little bit more time and a little bit more costly in a more manual process. You'll see today what we can do as far as a return on investment as well, and being able to communicate and collaborate a little bit better with the especially contractors you're working with. I mentioned we're all over the place with GCs. We've been on over 6,000 projects. I believe we're up near 55,000 users. So you'll notice, you'll ask around. We have a lot of examples of usage. We are the number one software for lean last planner collaboration planning software that you'll find. So feel free to reach out. We can give you examples maybe at your own GC of how Touchplan is being used there. Now, just to get into a little bit about why to buy, maybe why Sean used us, which we'll ask him in a few minutes, but really 5 main reasons why we're chosen and why GCs continue to use us on a day-to-day basis is really, one, going to be the best planning and daily recovery. We'll go through this a little bit, but being able to see everything in real time with a platform like Touchplan allows you to just replan and plan on the fly when things change on the job site. We'll get into some dashboards, some analytics of some automatically generated reporting that you'll be able to pull out of Touchplan and really look at it at a 10,000-foot view when you sign into the platform. We're going to be the most collaborative. We're unlimited users, so when you get a Touchplan license, not only you, owner, trades, whoever you want in there to collaborate and communicate better with, we allow that to happen. We're going to be the easiest to use. I certainly a common objection we get, and maybe Sean, I can ask you this in a few minutes as well, is how do we get that buy-in for new technology? You'll see today it's really an easy tool to use as well as visually appealing. And then last reason, we have a great customer service team. So every project you'll get your own, or you sign on with, you'll get your own CS member from our team. It really is with you from the lifetime of the project, beginning, middle, and end. Now, just to get a little bit into about, what's going to be digitized in the process, Sean brought this up, lean last planner. That's exactly what we digitize. In this case, we work well with a master schedule, so we can start with that. You know, we're going to fully integrate with a P6 schedule. We have the ability to import and export from certain CSV bases from different master schedules. We can start with that and import, you know, milestones to help you really build out the project in the way you want. Poll planning, you know, we're going to digitize that, those sticky notes, instead of, you know, writing them out in a more manual process and walking up to the board. You can simply drag and drop those different activities onto the Touchplan board, and then converting that right into a look ahead schedule. So maybe instead of you know, having your spreadsheets for your look aheads, some folks I've talked to take a picture of a poll plan and you know, break that out into look ahead schedule. It's all going to be right in Touchplan. And then I know Sean mentions this as well, you know, weekly planning, daily huddles, all that's going to be involved in Touchplan as well. And then I mentioned also learning and reporting, some of the insights and dashboards, especially the reporting at the end of a day to see really where the product's at and what we need to get done over the course of the next week. Just to give everyone a little view of what it looks like out in the field. It's going to be a similar type feel. It's just going to be digitized. So we always say, you know, you can remote into these meetings now with a cloud-based system like Touchplan. You know, if I'm in Boston, maybe Sean's out on the West Coast, we can both meet like this, and everything's real time. So if I move a sticky note, excuse me, an activity, Sean's going to see that right away. So a couple pictures here just to give you a look. You know, it's that same office trailer type meeting. You invite the trades in, you guys are building out in the same similar fashion you would, just with maybe iPads, laptops. We also have a mobile app as well, so that can be done to help that ease of use. If I'm a super, I'm a PM, I'm walking the site, I can simply, you know, open up my mobile app. Okay, here's XYZ activities we need to get done. I'm updating them. And then someone like a Sean can see them maybe back at the home office there and see where the activities are for that day. Now, just one thing to drop, and this could be something, you know, after this call, you can feel free to reach out to myself or other members of our team here. We have a full customer ROI analysis that was done by a third party. So they took a bunch of data from our current GC clients and really worked with us to see, hey, what's the actual return on investment from Touchplan. So if that's something, you know, you'd like to see for your current project now, feel free to reach out. And we also have a self calculator on the Touchplan website that you can take a look at as well. I will shoot it over to you, Sean. Again, just want to do a quick introduction. Let me give you the rights to share the screen here. Let's take a look. All right, you should be good now.
All right, let's see which one I'm showing. Let me show my screen. All right, Chris, which one do you see?
Yeah, so I got up and running your dashboard for the project. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So like we talked about, we're going to be touching on this project we did a number of years back, the CSUS Hornet Commons. A little background on the project. It's a 1,100 bed student housing project, type 5 wood framed across 13 acres. So in total, there was 8 buildings. 6 of them were residential four-story structures. And so the approach to construction really was kind of a train. We started on one building and just circled everybody around. Touchplan really working through the poll planning allowed us to streamline the flow of work. As you can see on the screen here, we've got some specific plans that were developed as we moved through the project. And this is for those using Touchplan, this is something to really think about when you're setting up the project and we learned along the way, right? Is make sure to break up your plans like you would any particular poll plan function. Hey, poll plan an area of work so that you're not creating too much complexity with it. One of the areas that I'm really going to dive deep into is our elevator lobbies. Before I go there, I will address the fact that everything says 0 on the project. Again, this is a complete project, so all that stuff, that data would be real time. Had we kind of backdated ourselves, we said, hey, we're just going to show you what we did. So I'll dive right into that. And so this is the high level view. And as I talked about, there are a number of buildings. These these were all the residential buildings. And when we talk about a specific area of work and a plan that was fairly complex, we talk about our elevator lobbies, and that really is the hub of the building. What I'll dive into here, and what you can see high level, is as we started the work, things were fairly spread out. But as we got better and better through the process of using Touchplan and leveraging the quick feedback loop with our trades and our inspection teams, we're able to really condense the flow of work and make things really efficient. So by the time we got to that last building F here, things really were clicking, and we knew what we needed to do. We had a good rhythm developed with that whole process. So I'll jump in here to talk about some of the details. And again, I'll stay fairly high level, but one of the challenges with this particular project was we had multiple layers of inspections. So as you're looking at this screen, the rectangular items were construction activities. The little triangle, or not triangle, the diamond shapes were all our inspections. So right in front of you here, we've got stacked work, trades working effectively on top of each other on one day, which we were able to work out through, again, working through that efficiency. But then right after that, we've got layers and layers of inspections in order to free up the next task. So this was an extremely laborious process of, one, getting, call it an hour to 2 to 3 hours worth of work done, and then 3 or 4 days of inspections. So and these inspections were on specific days. We didn't have just kind of the ability to have inspector on site full time. So we had to hit our inspection on a Tuesday. Otherwise, that work might then delay till the next Tuesday, and we'd lose an entire week on the project. So this is extremely detailed because of that whole process. And what Touchplan enables us to do was really communicate back and forth with the trades quickly about where they needed to be and what they needed to do, because they saw just what we're seeing right here. They saw that, hey, there's an inspection on that Wednesday. I've got to make sure I get all this stuff done Tuesday. So if you back out of it, you can see kind of this is the flow of how things happen. And we learned along the way, again, leveraging the lean process, how do we improve, how do we make things better, to the point where by the end of this, we were doing the work, doing the layers of inspections, and then really trying to level manpower. And I won't go too much into the manpower leveling on this, but I will dive into some of the tools and the benefits of what this allowed us to do. So I think it might have been, I'm not sure which exact date I pulled, but I did pull just a report. And this is one of the reports that we used on a daily basis as we were working through this effort, to where at the end of each day, our Sundt team would go and do a pre-inspection QC check on the completed work. We'd be taking this chart and our iPad out into the field, checking off, making sure things were done, and updating that. That would then push this information forward to tell us, okay, there are 12 inspections that we have scheduled for tomorrow. We're ready on all 12 of those, and then we can order those with the inspection team on what's the priority. We're gonna hit SIR at 12:30, then we're gonna hit IR 2087, right? We may bounce them back and forth, but this allowed us to prioritize the inspections we needed to execute. But at the same time, it made sure that we knew our team was QCing those, and we wouldn't put them as ready for inspection until we set our eyes on them. And then as we're walking inspections, got the iPad out there, and we're saying, all right, that inspection is complete. That pushes to the cloud, obviously. And then our drywall or a frame or whomever it may be that's got the next task, that pops up to them and says, okay, that's good to go. I'm going to put it on my work plan for tomorrow and execute the next step. So when you talk about the layers and the execution, it's days like this where you had these 3 inspections with the IOR, and then the following day you have 4 inspections with the fire marshal that had to come after the IOR. And then the following day, you've got an IOR inspection that had to come after the fire marshal inspection. So it's like one of these little funny dances. But what Touchplan allowed us to do is really scrap all the Excel spreadsheets, put it in a live interface. And so every day we were just updating this and sending immediate information back and forth to our field crews and the leaders, the foreman, the electrician, whoever may be that had that next task, letting know where things stood in the process. And it kind of zooming out again, it was an extremely complex process. If you look at some of how all this stacks, that's a lot of inspections in one day across 13 acres of site. So some days we couldn't get all those inspections done. But when you zoom in there, we do things like this. This inspection would either pull back or push to the next day. We'd move things around because we had that ability to do so. And then we'd have to adjust the construction activity. All that information was live to our trade partners and allowed them to really have a much better projection of their manpower and not feel like they're constantly being surprised the morning of. They know that the evening or day before, hey, we didn't get that inspection, so tomorrow I'm going to need to send my guys somewhere else. So it really helped not only us more efficiently get through the inspection process, but candidly be better partners to our teams. Make sure that they didn't have 5 guys show up on the job when they really only needed 3. So it's those kinds of efforts and the detail that this allows us to really dive into that made this an extremely successful process for us. So
yeah, Sean, and actually I meant to say this as well up front. We have a question chat on the right hand side. So for anyone that's in here and wants to drop questions, we actually had one. What type of access? One question is, what type of access did the trade partners have, and how did you guys get them involved kind of out in the field? Did they update their own activities, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so our trade partners, so I'll take our driller, for example. He had an iPad out in the field, and he leveraged this extremely well and was literally checking things off himself, communicating back to us, hey, this is done. Our team, as soon as he clicked it was done, we'd get an update, and at the end of the day, we'd go through and we'd be QC checking his work before we turn that inspection as ready to go. And so it became a quick, without having needed to have a conversation, it became a quick ability for us to just go, all right, let's look at what it is. It's 3:30 on a Wednesday. At 3:30, that our tradesmen know, hey, I need to have my activities updated by that time, because that's when Sundt's pulling the status. And by 4 o'clock, our guys are out walking the job, QCing it. By 4:30, we've got a full list for the inspection team, and that goes in. And they know that, hey, this is what's on the docket for tomorrow.
Great. Yeah, that's a good question. And I guess for me, where I'm standing from, before that process, it seemed like you guys had it really down, and this is obviously one of the better projects we've had in Touchplan. What would be the process there before, if you didn't have one of your guys going out there, walking the site with an iPad? It's quick updates. What would be the other side of that if you didn't use something like a Touchplan?
We'd be leveraging more of the in-person contact, hey, calling the foreman, hey, what did you get done today? Did you get this done? Did you get this done? Hoping we got everything checked off the list. And we'd be using spreadsheets and our traditional weekly work planning kind of template. But the challenge is that if things slip, then you're updating everything down the line. And then it really, if something slips on a Monday and you've got a plan out for every day of the week, you've got to make all those updates in that Excel spreadsheet, and it's a pretty laborious task. In Touchplan, you can just highlight, I can't do it because they're not live, but you can right click, highlight all this, and jump it one day.
Right.
And it's just one quick flip of the switch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it makes it that much more efficient and effective. And that's something that, like, the framer might say, hey, I'm I'm not hitting this. I need one more day. Okay, let's make that adjustment. Let's look at what it does to your activities up and down the line from a manpower standpoint. Let's see how that affects our inspection schedule down the line, because we're also watching that. There's only so many inspections we can execute in a day. That communication is just that much faster, and the ability to react to changes is much easier, because you're not having to then recreate an Excel spreadsheet plan or and potentially miss things. Because again, those weekly work plans, they don't lay out like this. They're Excel spreadsheets with activities and dates. They don't show the flow or the stacking or the relationships, right?
Right, absolutely. And another question that just popped in, and this is also a good one. What was the learning curve like for this? I know, you guys as the admins at Sundt, and then we have the trades. There's kind of two dynamics with admin users and basic users and vice versa. What was that learning curve like?
I'll zoom out, and this is again later in the project. So we even in this, we had some learning curve, but this probably was more learning curve with our own inspection process, I'll be honest. This is really when we kind of started at Building E, is when we really started honing in how the benefits of what we're using this particular process and how it dialed, and you can see how quickly it happened. But this is a one each week, 1, 2, 3. By week 4, we were clicking along and had it fully dialed. That's one particular area. If I back up at a higher level, we were using this back into our framing sequence, and you can see there's a lot more detail here. So
Right.
This Building E, level 1, level 2, level 3, and by the time we got to level F, it was a lot more detailed. We could just see all the tasks, right? Some of the inspections started to show up down here because we started to figure out how to use it better. But again, as you can see, it's a continuous evolution, a continuous learning process. The first building had a little bit, second building not as much, and it just kind of got more and more detailed as the team realized the substantial benefits of getting all the information in here. And I'm not just talking about the Sundt team, I'm talking about the trade partners. They really bought into this and said, hey, if we're all in here, use this as our communication tool. Yes, we always have to pick up the phone and have conversations in cases, but if we can all work this out and use this as our roadmap, there's much more consistency, less surprises. Same thing, like I said before, you're scheduling 10 guys for tomorrow and showing up, and there's work for 10 guys, right? Or guys and gals, I should say, people.
Right.
So it does have a learning curve to it, but I think it's not a learning curve because of the system. I'd say this system's much more like the iPhone rather than like a BlackBerry.
Right.
Like that's just kind of it's very intuitive. The learning curve is how best to leverage the software. When I talk about things like how do you breaking down work packages, it's the same challenges we go through when we're at the front of the project trying to figure out what are the best ways to break this project out for our pull planning efforts, right? Which chunks of work should we pull plan? It's that same level of conversation. What's the right way to break this down that's going to make us understand this scope of work the best and be able to execute it efficiently? And then as you get in there and get people buying into it and understanding the benefits of it, it just gets better and better. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate it. I wanted to get a little bit into the dashboards, and I know we can't see them great on yours now with obviously being completed. Maybe I can take the screen back. We can walk through that just a bit if you want to send that back to me, because I'd love to get your insight on what some of those brought to the table on a day-to-day basis. Perfect.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, let's see. Let me just pull mine back up. And I know we have a few more questions, so we'll get to those as well. Are you able to see my screen at all now? Let's see.
I don't. I see you and me.
Got it. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. Oh, it looks like you're still the presenter there.
How do I kick it back to you? Oh,
there we go. All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, you should see mine now. Let me know. Let's see.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm in another demo setting, but I wanted to go through some of this dashboard stuff now that we have some data, that you can see what these do for you guys. And when you sign in, any teams that use us, Sean mentioned, this is your dashboard. This is kind of your motherboard when you sign in a Touchplan. So we're able to track things like percent complete, overdue tickets, variance reason, what's the plan for today, staffing profile. So to Sean's point, this is all going to be, one platform, one system that you'll have your master schedule and then Touchplan. You're not going to need those spreadsheets. So Sean, for my questioning, I wanted to see what this did for you, just as a high level 10,000 foot view of where we're at as soon as you sign in there.
Honestly, at a high level, some of the quick kind of keys that I was looking at when I was diving in there was, okay, who's using it? And you can see that by just activity levels. And that's when I talk about some of the more reliable trade partners, like our drywaller. They were consistently using it and communicating back. And you can see that in their PPCs, because it would go down to that granularity. Those that weren't necessarily or weren't keeping it updated, you can kind of see what's going on there, and it creates an opportunity for a conversation. Hey, what are we having? What's going on here? Are we falling behind? Is that something we need to talk about, etc. Also, really, in the dashboard is a good high level view, but I'd be using a lot of the report outs to understand, okay, manpower, how are we doing with projecting out? What are the anticipated activities projected for the next 2 weeks? Is our drywaller going to be able to keep up with that? And then the same thing when you talk about the kind of some of the health, because we had identified, for example, our fire marshal inspections. If those were constantly moving and that would show a low percentage, and that's an indicator of, hey, we're failing inspections or we're not ready for them. And so those kinds of metrics are really important, because obviously we have our relationships with our inspection teams are critical for the success of a project. We need to make sure that we use their time effectively. And so having that as a trend to know what we're doing and adjust our own process if it seems like we're having problems there, it's a quick indicator, instead of on the back end having to hear from your inspector, hey, I've been out the past 2 weeks and you failed 50% of your inspections. I'm going to stop coming out as often because it's wasting my time, right? Those are the conversations you don't want to have. But having the ability to kind of get in front of it, making sure our teams are doing the QC before you walk those inspections, and there's reliability to what our trades are communicating is done. These sort of metrics help us really pull that out at a pretty quick glance.
Awesome. Yeah, and your point on reports, I had a few pre-populated that I'd like to show everyone too. So to Sean's point, quick hitting reports allows for that reliability, that accountability. You can really pull anything out of Touchplan that you put into it. So he showed one Gantt chart view before. We got weekly work plans, a lot of PPC metrics. Let me see what I had pulled up here. Let me show a weekly work plan first. So this could all be generated by role, by plan. If I just want to look at the concrete person or the plumber, if I just want to look at a plan for specific dates, you can really get as granular as you want. But I just did for 4 weeks. Let's look at a weekly work plan for the whole demo project. So for someone like Sean, he can quickly pull up, okay, I got my total crew size at the top. Then we're going to go down by phase plan, and that stretches across 4 weeks, as you see here. And then it's going to even break it down by role. So if I know, for example, our inspection fire stop, we need 2 people there across the next couple weeks there. So it's going to break it down by each role, by each plan. And all these reports that I'll show, you can download as a CSV. So to his point, these are just, quick hitter reports. Let's see what we got, where do we need to be over the next couple weeks, and it allows for that reliable source of truth, if you will. A couple PPC metrics I pulled up. This is one by variance reason. I think someone asked, can you track, what the reasoning was in the delays? Absolutely. I did this for just my entire demo project, but you can see here, here's our variance, staffing, quality, whatever reasons you want to put in. They're all customizable. And Sean, maybe you can talk a little bit about this, but we're able to see, total promises met over total promise for the whole project. And it helps that accountability factor with trade partners, to your point, having them put in that reason as to why do we commit to that and why do we push it out. Did you see those day-to-day commitments in providing a variance that help you guys see where maybe common delays were coming from there, Sean?
Yeah, a lot of it basically created the opportunity for the conversation. It's,
right.
If there was something going on, work wasn't ready for me. Okay, why it wasn't ready? Okay, well, it's because the electrician said it was going to be done and it wasn't. Well, the electrician did put it in Touchplan like it was done, but why isn't it being done? Is there a missing conversation there? And what maybe that trade's level of done isn't what they expected. And so this created that ability to have conversation around that, and we'd be reviewing that at our weekly work planning meetings. But in the event that it was a quick hitter, that this also creates the opportunity to have that conversation right then. So.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It looks like one other question was in here. What does training and support look like? Yeah, good question. So I'll take you back to the first page here. So we have this support tab that I'll start out with. We have a full admin user, basic user. You could really become an expert in Touchplan today if you read through some of this stuff. We have a full Touchplan Academy. So if you take that, you'll really become an expert on this rather quickly. We always have a live chat, which we'll test it out right now for everyone to see if my team's going to answer. But this is all real customer success team managers that we have. It's not AI. You'll always have a real success manager that, again, for Sean's project, he gets a dedicated person from our team to say, hey, we're going to onboard, train, support throughout the life of the project. And it looks like Tyler from our team answered, so that made me look good. But yeah, certainly, training, onboarding, support. We always have weekly webinars that, new trade partners as the product progresses can attend. So we take that seriously. And certainly, as you can see there, our live chat is, throughout the workday. If it's quick hitter questions, we get them all the time. They'll be there to answer pretty quickly. Let me take a look what else we have on here, Sean. Oh, logic. Can you add logic to activities? Yes, absolutely. So I'll do that. Let me just pull out this pull plan into a look at schedule on my demo. But yeah, certainly, since we can, of course, integrate with P6, we have to have logic ties, right? So I don't have any right now. To create a logic tie, I simply can click on the 2 activities. I'll click the predecessor. And when I do that, it pops up very, very simply, set as predecessor. And here's my dependencies. So I finish the start to start. I can do negative lag, positive lag. So you can create those dependencies. Certainly with an import function, if you wanted to add logic prior to manually adding all these tickets, our team can help you with that as well. But yeah, certainly logic you can absolutely attach there. But to Sean's point, that forceability, or forcing that collaboration, communication between 2 trade partners or what have you, there is always what we recommend as well. Let me see here, what else we got. Can you switch up the calendar days? Yeah, so right now we certainly have just a Monday through Friday schedule. I can go over settings. I can go to project work days. Maybe for this project, Sean, you had people on the weekends, but you can certainly break that out by 7 days. And to that point as well, we can also do roll work. So if different, Bill's Electric, for example, concrete coming in on 4, 6, 7 days, whatever it is, we can create that as well. Sean, looks like one for you. Let me see. Was this more of, did this help? I guess they said, how did this help the lean process last planner? But of course, I think that's more on your end. I guess you can explain having that process in place, and this kind of enhances that.
Yeah, again, going back, it's something that the last planner system and the tools and the strategies that whole deal encompasses is something that we do on every project, and it's just part of how we approach our work. It's from the beginning, it's, hey, we've got a master schedule, but we look at that with a way of, hey, how are we going to break up this master schedule into what chunks of pull planning efforts? And then from there, we're talking about, okay, the 6-week look aheads, and from there it's the weekly work plans, and then you're talking about the PPCs and all the look back. So we start with the P6 master schedule, and then we do our weekly work plans and upload that to P6. That also gets baked into here. What we use those milestones as they're really the keys in Touchplan to pull everything back, get it all into an organized manner of what the commitments were in that pull plan. And then weekly, we track to that and make adjustments, add detail as we need to. But the key here is what Touchplan enables you to do isn't that 30,000 foot level. I mean, you can do that, I should say, but the benefit is of when you get down to that 1 to 2 week planning, that's when you really extract a ton of value out of it, because you're not managing the Excel spreadsheets. You've got it all in a web interface that all of your trades see. So when you have a weekly work planning meeting, you've got it up on the screen and you're talking about, all right, here's what we're doing for the next week in this building, in this building, in this building. And everybody sees it on their iPads or their laptops, whatever they're working on. And so that's also one of the pieces going into the project, and to make sure that your trade partners plan for that their foremen, that ones leading the work in the field, have the ability to integrate and interface with this. You could certainly pull them in. It creates an extra step. We were lucky on this project. We set it up that way. And we said, hey, this is a requirement. We're going to do it. And it really helped us out a lot by, again, at a high level, we probably saved one position on the project, which it would just be that person, that runner, that's going and picking up those Excel spreadsheets, those weekly work plans, and then putting them into the computer, running all the calculations, and then giving the feedback to the superintendent. That's a lot of work when you're talking about this many tasks across this many trades on a large project. If you can keep it all in a packaged up, clean software system that can give you those reports at just kind of the click of a button, you don't have that individual as the runner or as the data warehouse, for lack of a better term. You've got Touchplan. So
awesome. Yeah, that's a good question and great answer. I appreciate that. It looks like we have no questions left, and for me, that's what I wanted to get through today. And Sean, again, if there's nothing else on your end, I really appreciate you joining in with us today. Great insight, especially you can hear it from me all you want from Touchplan, but to hear it from a guy like yourself with the reputation and at Sundt, that's awesome. We really appreciate the time. But yeah, if there's no other questions, again, go to touchplan.io, take a look at what we have. Feel free to reach out to myself or any member of our team to not only test out Touchplan, but get a little bit more information on us. But yeah, Sean, great chat with you today, and thank you very much.
You as well, Chris. Thanks, and thanks for tuning in, everybody.
All righty, take care.